lads, welcome back to the channel. Today we're back once again with the Championship predictions review video, just predictions video, and this is probably the most important game week of the season, as it is the final game week of the season. There's still the second place up for grabs, playoffs, the final playoff spot's still up for grabs. Obviously Forest and Cardiff are in there, but Swansea can still make it into the playoffs, and obviously it's a huge day in terms of the relegation zone, as nobody's been relegated just yet, although Hull are basically already relegated. I'm pretty sure they need to win 15-0 today. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into what I think the scores will be today, and inevitably who I think will go up, who will make the playoffs, and who will get relegated. First game does involve a team that can actually get relegated, but it's very unlikely they will get relegated, as there are other teams that are closer to the drop. And that team that can get relegated is Birmingham, and they play at home against Derby County. Birmingham currently sitting 20th spot on 50 points, whereas Derby are 12th on 61, not really going anywhere in mid-table, and this last game doesn't really mean anything to them. Birmingham have not won in their last three, lost 2-0 to Stoke, drew 1-0 with Charlton, and last time out was 2-0 to Preston. Derby, on the other hand, have lost every single one in their last three, 3-1 against Brentford, 2-1 against Cardiff, and last time out 3-1 against champions Leeds. Despite that form, I think Birmingham have they're not as strong a side as Leeds, and Leeds, what am I on about Leeds? Derby, I mean, and I think Derby, they'll just probably, I don't know. I just think that despite Derby being on bad form, I do think they'll win this one, as Birmingham are on probably equally as bad form and are worse team than Derby. So for this one, I think it'll be a tight game, but I think Derby will win this one. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 away win for Derby. Next game is a huge one at both ends of the table, and it is between Brentford and Barnsley at Griffin Park. Brentford obviously sitting third spot on 81 points, whereas Barnsley are 23rd on 46. Both these teams need a win to basically, well, Brentford need to win if they want to get into the automatic playoff spots, and Barnsley need to win in order to not get relegated, although Brentford can draw and just rely on West Brom to slip up, but they'd rather win, wouldn't they? Brentford, they have won 2 of their last 3, beat Derby 3-1, and then beat Preston 1-0, and the last time out again slipped up, missed that chance to go into the automatic spots, losing 1-0 against Stoke. Barnsley, on the other hand, have won, drawn and lost. Drew 0-0 with Wigan, lost 1-0 against Leeds in the last time out. Bounced back with a huge goal in the 90th minute and showed a lot of character to come back 1-0 against Forest. But despite that, I think, despite them resuscitating their chances last time out against Forest, I don't think they'll have enough firepower to beat a strong Brentford side who are going for a goal, trying to achieve a goal themselves of getting to the Premier League automatically. So I just don't think they will be able to beat Brentford. So for this one, I'm going to go for a 2-1 home win for Brentford, which will unfortunately see Barnsley relegated. Next game is at Ashton Gate between Preston and Bristol City. Well, Bristol City are at home, obviously, as it I can't say Ashton Gate for some reason. It is at Ashton Gate, and as I forgot to mention in the first 2 clips, all these games do kick off at 7:30 on Wednesday, so later this evening. Bristol currently sitting 11th spot on 62 points, whereas Preston are in 8th on 65 points. Both teams mid-table, can't really play for anything, so it's a bit, I don't know, they're just playing for pride at this point, really. Bristol have won, drawn and lost in their last 3. They beat Middlesbrough 3-1, drew 1-1 with Stoke, and then last time out lost 1-0 to Swansea. Obviously, Juju missing that penalty, which would have got them a 1-1 draw. Preston had the same form. They've won, drawn and lost as well. Drew a 1-0 with Forest, lost 1-0 to Brentford, and then last time out won 2-0 against Birmingham. This one, I think, obviously both teams, they're similar. They're both decent teams, probably similar in strength and obviously on the same form. So I do think this one will be a draw. But yeah, I think this one will be a 1-1 draw. The next match is between Cardiff and Hull, and both these sides, well, I think Hull are pretty much already down as they need to win 15-0, and Cardiff they do need to win this one to secure their spot in the playoffs. Cardiff currently sitting 6th spot, obviously, on 70 points, whereas Hull are bottom of the table, 24th spot on 45 points, and are pretty much already relegated, they're basically already relegated apart from mathematically. But yeah, Cardiff, they've won 2 and lost 1 in the last 3. Lost 2-0 against Fulham, and then in the last 2 games beat Derby 2-1, and then last time out beat Middlesbrough 3-1. Hull have lost every one of their last 3 games. They've not won. They've only won once in the new year, and of course that was against Wednesday on New Year's Day. Hull in the last 3 lost 1-0 against Millwall and then got thrashed 8-0 against Wigan, which basically just condemned them to relegation. And then last time out, a big loss for them, losing 1-0 against Luton, which pretty much secured their relegation other than mathematically because, yeah, the goal difference, I've mentioned it a few times. But yeah, for this one, I think Hull, they're just a very poor side. And Cardiff, they'll want to secure their spot in the playoffs for this season, so they do have a shot of going up to the Premier League. So for this one, I think it'll be pretty much a pretty easy game for Cardiff. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 home win for Cardiff. Next game is an important one in terms of the relegation fight, and it's between champions Leeds and Charlton Athletic. Leeds, obviously champions and deservedly back in the Premier League. They're in first spot on 90 points, whereas Charlton are 21st spot, just above the relegation zone on 48 points. Leeds won every one of their last 3. 1-0 wins against Swansea and Barnsley, and then last time out beat Derby 3-1. Charlton, on the other hand, have not won in their last 3. Lost 1-0 against Reading and then back-to-back draws, 1-1 against Birmingham and 2-2 against Wigan. For this one, I know Leeds are already promoted, but they're very a strong side and they just love to win, don't they? They'll be trying to just rack up as many points as they can, like 93 points. That is a very... Oh, what's happening to my voice there? It's a very good total in a championship season. As championship's such a different, a unique league and a tough league, as anybody can beat anybody really. But yeah, for this one, I think Leeds, they're a strong side and they're just a very ruthless team. So I think they'll win this one comfortably, and I think they'll win it 3-1, which then leaves Charlton's hopes in the hands of Luton, hoping that they basically don't pick up any points in their game against Blackburn, which we'll move on to now. As I just said, the next game is obviously Luton against Blackburn. Luton obviously sitting 22nd spot on 48 points, just in that top relegation spot, but are level on points with Charlton. Obviously have a worse goal difference. This is a huge game for them against Blackburn, who are sat in 10th spot, 63 points, got really nothing to play for. In the last 3, Luton, they've not lost. They beat Huddersfield 2-0, drew 1-0 with Hull, and then won... No, didn't draw 1-0 with Hull. They drew 1-0 with QPR, sorry. And then last time out beat Hull 1-0 in a very big win, which basically condemned Hull to relegation and gave Luton a chance to actually get out the relegation spots and survive this season. Blackburn, on the other hand, they've won, drawn and lost. Drew 1-0 with West Brom, lost 1-0 against Millwall, and then last time out got a 4-3 win over Reading. This one, I think Luton, they're determined. They've showed great character over recent weeks to keep themselves in the Championship. So I think this one, it'll be a tough game for Luton. They'll want to win, but I think they'll do enough to get a draw, which, if my prediction with Leeds is correct, then they will keep themselves on the Championship. So yeah, for this one, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Next game is again between two sides that have pretty much nothing really to play for, between Millwall and Huddersfield. Millwall currently sitting 9th spot on 65 points, whereas Huddersfield are 18th on 51 and still can mathematically be relegated, but let's be honest, that probably won't happen, as there are teams closer to the drop than them and playing the harder teams like Charlton. They're playing Leeds, obviously, as I just said before. Millwall, in their last 3, the first 2 games of the last 3 were 1-0 wins against Hull and Blackburn. Then last time out, they lost 4-3 against QPR. Huddersfield, on the other hand, they have won, drawn and lost. Lost 2-0 to Luton, drew 0-0 against Wednesday, and then last time out, obviously, got that win 2-1 over West Brom, which pretty much secured them spot in the Championship next season and sent Leeds up to the Premier League. For this one, though, despite Huddersfield, they'll obviously be happy with that win over West Brom last time. I just think Millwall are a stronger side than them. So for this one, I think it'll be a tight game, but I think Millwall will win this one. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 home win for Millwall. Next game is a key one in terms of the playoff spots, and it's between Nottingham Forest and Stoke City. Forest currently sitting 5th spot on 70 points, whereas Stoke are 17th on 53. Forest basically do not... If Forest basically just need to pick up points in this one. A draw will be enough, because then Swansea cannot catch them no matter what. In the last 3, Forest, they haven't won, unfortunately for them. Drew 1-0 against Preston, 2-0 against Swansea, and then last time out, obviously, lost to that 93rd minute winner through Patrick Schmidt against Barnsley. Stoke, on the other hand, they have not lost in their last 3, unlike Forest. They beat Birmingham 2-0, drew 1-0 with Bristol City, and then last time out, obviously pulled off that shock win over Brentford, winning 1-0. For this one, I think think Stoke are on good form. Forest are on a bit of a bad streak, but I think Forest, they're determined to get themselves over the line. So for this one, I think it'll be a tight game, but I think Forest will get the points needed to secure their spot in the playoffs. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw with this one. Next game is between Reading, who have nothing to play for, and Swansea, who can still make the playoffs, but that is relying on the fact that either Forest or Cardiff lose and they win. Reading currently sitting 15th spot on 56 points, whereas Swansea are 7th on 67. The last three, Reading have won 1 and lost 2, beat Charlton 1-0 and then lost their last 2 games, lost 2-1 against Middlesbrough, and last time out lost 4-3 against Blackburn in one of them high-scoring games. Swansea have won, drawn and lost in their last 3. They lost 1-0 against Leeds, drew 2-0 with Forest, and the last time out bounced back with a 1-0 win over Bristol City to keep their playoff hopes alive. For this one, I think Swansea, they're a stronger side than Reading, are a good side. Obviously, I watched them when they played Wednesday, and they're a good side. And for this one, though, I think Swansea will win this one, but I don't think they'll be able to make the playoffs, as I think Forest either Forest or Cardiff will pick up, well, both Forest and Cardiff will pick up points, as you've probably already heard in my predictions. So for this one, I think Swansea will win, and I think they'll win comfortably, a 2-0 win, but I don't think it'll be enough to make the playoffs, really. Next game is between Wednesday and Middlesbrough. Wednesday obviously sees 16 spot on 56 points, and we are safe, bar a points deduction, which we don't know anything about yet. We're a bit in the blue with that one. We don't know what's going on. And Middlesbrough, they can still get relegated. They're obviously in 19th spot on 50 points, but it is highly unlikely as teams like Charlton are closer to the drop. Wednesday in our last 3, we've won, drawn and lost, beat QPR 3-0, drew 0-0 with Huddersfield in the last time out, lost 5-3 to Fulham. We performed great in the second half. It's just a shame we couldn't do the same thing in the first half. Middlesbrough, on the other hand, they've won one of their last 3 and lost the other 2. Lost 3-1 against Bristol, beat Reading 2-1, and then last time out lost 3-1 to Cardiff. With this one, I think we're determined to finish the season with a win, as Monk has said he's expecting nothing less than a win. So I think the boys will be fired up, and I think Middlesbrough, they're not as strong a side as some of the teams we've been playing recently, such as Fulham. So for this one, I think it'll be a tight game, but we will win this one, I think. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 home win for Wednesday. Game is a huge game in terms of the automatic fight, and it's between West Brom and QPR. QPR obviously have nothing to play for. West Brom are in second, obviously. They are in pole position over Brentford on 82 points, whereas QPR mid-table 14th spot on 57 points. West Brom have not won in their last 3, drew 1-0 against Blackburn, 0-0 against Fulham, and obviously lost 2-1 against Huddersfield, which would have seen Brentford overtake them had they not slipped up themselves, which could be a huge opportunity missed. QPR in their last 3, they've won, drawn and lost 3-0 against Wednesday, drew 1-0 against Luton, and then last time out bounced back from a bad streak of form. I'm pretty sure they hadn't won in like 8 or something. But yeah, they beat Millwall 4-3. For this one, I think QPR, maybe they don't want to win this one or get anything from this one, as that I'd probably maybe see Brentford promoted. But I think West Brom, they're just on a really bad streak of form, and I think they might bottle it again. So I just have that feeling, when you get that feeling that something might happen. So yeah, I think this one will be a shock, and I think West Brom might choke again and open the door for Brentford to walk into those automatic spots. So I think a few people might be surprised that I think with this one. So I think the score will be in this one. I think it'll be a 1-1 draw. The final prediction of this championship season. I know I started a bit late with only like 7 games left, but we will be doing it next year, lads, so stay tuned for that. Next game is between Wigan and Fulham, and both these sides, I think Wigan still can get relegated depending on what happens with that 12-point deduction. I'm not sure what's going on with that yet. And Fulham cannot still reach the automatic spots, but that does rely on Brentford and I think Brentford dropping points, or at most drawing, and I think West Brom have to lose in order for Fulham to do that. Well, anyway, yeah, Wigan's currently sitting 13th spot on 58 points, whereas Fulham are obviously 4th on 80. In their last 3, Wigan have not lost. They drew 0-0 against Barnsley and then thrashed Hull 8-0 and then drew 2-2 last time out. against Charlton. Macaulay Bonne with a late goal, and if that point deduction does go against them, that could be a costly goal to concede. Fulham have also not lost in the last 3. Beat Cardiff 2-0, drew 0-0 against West Brom, and then beat Wednesday 5-3 last time out. With this one, I think Wycombe are on good form, and so are Fulham, and I think both teams, obviously, they're trying to, well, we're going to try and get as far away from the relegation zone as we can, and Fulham are pressing for automatic spots. Both teams have been scoring a lot of goals recently, so for this one, I think it'll be a close game, and I think this one will end up as a 2-2 draw. Moving on to a little extra bit I'm going to put in at the end of the video. I'm just going to recap who I think will be getting the automatic spots, playoff spots, and then obviously the relegation, who will be going down, because obviously that's undecided. With my predictions, it probably works out. I think for the second spot, I think Brentford will manage to sneak in, as I think West Brom will slip up again. For the playoff spots, I think it'll stay as it is currently. Forest and Cardiff securing that spots. And for the relegation zone, I think the teams going down will be Hull, obviously, because they're basically already relegated. Barnsley, unfortunately, I think they will be going down, despite they showed good character last week against Forest. And the team that I think will occupy that top relegation spot and the final spot, I think it will be Charlton. I think Luton will manage to do the magic escape, but I don't know if Charlton will go down because of all the whole Luton thing. We don't know what's going on with that. But if let's just pretend that Luton, they're not getting a points deduction. With my predictions, I think Charlton will be going down along with Barnsley and Hull. Like a Hellcat.